All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. I didn't think I could hate Duke any more than I possibly could, and there we are yesterday. Just sour grapes. I can't help but start this way. Then we'll get to Maryland, some more positive news. But Carolina had Duke. I mean, they finished the first half on a run, so they're down 43-42. Then it's 56 to 49. Carolina's winning 56 to 49, and the game ends on a 33 to 13 run for Duke. They just suffocated Carolina. RJ Davis doesn't score for the last 18 minutes of the game. I'm doing so much reading about all these sports betting scams and handicappers trying to fix games and reading about these indictments. I'm like, what is going on here? What players on North Carolina are betting on Duke in the second half? Because I don't, man, that was a really tough one to swallow. That one, not to mention it not being a very good day as it was going. Bit the bullet with Tennessee, thought they would dominate. They didn't. And Wisconsin, I'm not really sure exactly what happened in that game. That's a really bad sign for them to just let Penn State kick their ass like that. It was just weird, especially since Wisconsin had a lead and it just felt like they would pull away at one point, and then Penn State just beat the crap out of them. So that was strange. But the Carolina game really, really, really pisses me off. Just because I felt like I was dead right about the game the way it was going. Carolina played with so much energy, came out in the second half, took the lead. And now I feel stupid because I've been saying that I think Duke's the best team. And I stayed away from Auburn, and they lost to Alabama in what a wild game that was. So Alabama beats Auburn in overtime, and I've been saying for the past couple of weeks, even when Auburn was peaking here, that Duke's the best team because the way they play defense. Just thought the circumstances were right for Carolina, and then the last 17 whatever 16 minutes of the game, Duke just put the clamps on. They're really good on defense. That was really not a great day yesterday. Started off the week fantastic, didn't lose any games, and then gave it all back yesterday pretty much. So looking forward to bouncing back today. A lot of automatic bids will go out, so I'm going to have a couple bets on those. I've been following some of the smaller tournaments, getting excited. Watching, I think one team yesterday got the first automatic bid, SIEU, I believe. Forget the name of the school, but those are the best games if you're watching basketball today. These winner take all games with the automatic bid, feeling like you win everything, and then the heartbreak of losing these games. So looking forward to that. And yeah, let's get into Maryland here because so many great things happened with Maryland yesterday, starting with the game because winning ugly, I think it's just that's fine. We need to play our best basketball like now, right? So that game, 18 turnovers, sloppy, hard to watch, first half. Like, what are we doing? Are we just an overrated team that beat up a bad Michigan? Like, what's happening right now? Like, this is just bad. Northwestern didn't have their best player. So they got Martinelli, who's probably, 1A to the Bardenheiser guy. I think that's how you pronounce his name. But anyway, like the whole game plan for Northwestern is Martinelli or bust, and he's killing us again, same way he did back in Northwestern earlier in the season. But then they figured it out. So if you go through the game and you're like, man, it's the same kind of theme as the whole season, just different guys at different spots kind of take over, and they're not playing perfect basketball by any means, but they get it done and they're finding ways to win. I was super impressed about just the way they finished the game. They got it. Northwestern had the lead in the second half. Then they got the 64-57 with under 4 minutes left, and they ran just a fantastic play to get Queen a wide open dunk, and then that was it. Northwestern just that was the end of it. Didn't let them have one more chance, and it felt similar to the Michigan game where Michigan just was knocking on the door, and Maryland wouldn't let them come through. So they're going to have to obviously play better if they want to make a run, but I'm probably a little tired. The starting fives played a lot of minutes. We'll see how they come out. They're going to play Friday. They'll be the 2 seed or the 3 seed because Wisconsin blew it yesterday. UCLA is actually the 4 seed. Purdue and Wisconsin found ways to lose games that probably shouldn't have lost in the case of Purdue. Definitely shouldn't have lost in the case of Wisconsin. But Illinois playing better down the stretch. They finished. They're definitely going to make the tournament. but the top four seeds will be Michigan State gets the one, and Michigan will get the two, or Maryland will get the two, and then UCLA will end up with the four. So Michigan, Maryland works out perfectly for Maryland. They get to play on Friday, and they'll play, a team that won't bolster their resume to win that game. It probably can hurt it a little bit to lose it. I was going through it this morning. I have us, I want to say, penned in at a three, like a 90% chance that we're getting a three no matter what happens this weekend. Because in order to get the two, right, they would have to win, win three games, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And two of those games, or at least, whether it's Michigan State in the championship game or you get Purdue, Wisconsin, a high quality win, would it be enough to overtake Michigan State? I don't think so, because they would have to beat Michigan State in that championship game. And if they do that, it's a Sunday afternoon. Brackets are probably already set. I still think Maryland would end up at the three seed, maybe the best three seed at that point. But to overtake Michigan State, I just don't know. Michigan State's resume is, I think, significantly better. Plus, they beat us in Maryland. So if you go through it, the top three seeds are done. Auburn, Duke, and Houston. No matter what happens this weekend, Auburn, Duke, and Houston will be the top three. I think Duke's going to end up being the top overall seed. Auburn lost to Alabama. It probably, I don't know. It could go either way. It depends on how this weekend plays out. Maybe if Auburn wins the SEC tournament, they still get the number one overall seed. But those three will be the top, will be the one seeds. And then the four seed, I think it's between three teams. It'll be between Tennessee, Florida, and St. John's. Alabama, if they win the SEC tournament, I still don't think it's enough to get all the way to the one seed. Too many losses for them. That gets them to the two seed. But if Tennessee or Florida wins the SEC tournament, I think that would be enough for either of those teams to get the one seed. Even if St. John's wins the Big East tournament. But if St. John's wins the Big East tournament and Auburn or, not Tennessee or Florida win the SEC tournament, I think St. John's could get the one seed. But when you go through, in order for Maryland to crack in there, they would have to overtake Texas Tech. Iowa State, one of those two teams is going to win the Big 12 tournament most likely. I don't think Maryland's resume can jump over them. And like I said, you still have Michigan State lurking, and then Alabama's win over Auburn gives them a better resume than Maryland. So in order for Maryland to get all the way to a two seed, they would have to win the Big Ten tournament, and a lot of the top teams would have to lose that first game. Maryland would have to dominate whoever they played in the Big Ten tournament, and hopefully it would have to be Michigan State, and then they would bump Michigan State, I think, down to the three and Maryland the two. Or, like I said, Texas Tech and Iowa State both bomb out. Just a lot would have to happen. But if you go the reverse way, I think a lot has to happen for Maryland to fall to the four seed. As long as they win the first game, I think a loss to Michigan potentially in that semifinal game, or whoever would have beaten Michigan in that matchup, I don't think that bumps them to the four seed. Even if they lose that first game, it wouldn't be great. But to bump them all the way down to the four seed with a lot of the resumes below just aren't quite there. Maryland played in the Big Ten. The ACC is really down. So you have Clemson and Louisville. I think one of those teams gets a three seed, but I think the other team's down to a 4 or 5 seed. And then Missouri fell off, a really bad loss for them to Kentucky yesterday. Memphis has too many losses, and Maryland's put themselves in a position where the resume is just solid. So I think we're, like I said, 90% chance we're getting a 3 seed, really regardless of what happens this weekend. So great season for Maryland. And that's kind of my take on what happened yesterday with the Terps and where we're at moving forward. One other thing I wanted to touch on before I try to find some winners here for this afternoon is, the Ravens re-signed Ronnie Stanley, and I can't get there's like two things I can't do. I can't get behind being excited about the Ravens doing anything until they resolve the Justin Tucker situation. So it was a really great signing in the scheme of, what's important for the Ravens. And I would love to come on here and praise the front office for doing another great job of re-signing a top player. We seem to win the offseason most times. We're usually savvy. We figure out how to do everything with the salary cap. All that stuff is great, but just too much of a sour taste. There's been even more interviews and stuff since the last time I talked about it. So that I can't be positive about. So I'll acknowledge the Ronnie Stanley thing because it happened yesterday, and I was kind of surprised because the Chiefs. I was reading a lot of reports. It made it sound like the Chiefs were going to get him, and there was other teams that were going to offer him a lot of money. So yeah, hopefully we can get rid of Tucker. I get back to talking Ravens stuff. But then the other thing was with the Orioles, with all the negative stuff happening, with all the injuries and bad news. There's only one way to consume sports as a fan, which is why the Ravens stuff is turning me off to just being a fan in general, just to at least enjoy it. You can't write the team off, but you also can't be blind to like this. There's a lot of bad news here to start the spring as far as Knicks and Nats. But I was thinking that as they try to construct this roster, the way to rejuvenate everything is to just do the blockbuster trade to bring in the ace pitcher, whether it's Alcantara with Miami if he's available right this second, or one of these other younger pitchers that we could spend 20 minutes going through all the possible guys where the team we just give an irresistible offer where we just unload a lot of these prospects. I just feel like the team needs some juice. Just too much negativity right this second. And I don't want to go into the season being negative, but I think we need to find something. It's hard to find something right this second. I know we're getting late into the season, but it'd be kind of cool if they did a big blockbuster trade because I still think we're a little too congested and guys want to play, and it's not the greatest energy going into the season with Mountcastle and Kerstead and O'Neill and O'Hearn who don't really want to platoon, right, and be part-time players. So it really wouldn't kill me to trade one of those guys and package some prospects and get the ace pitcher. And then we just talk ourselves into, Brash is coming back, Wells comes back. We still have a bunch of arms, Povich, and maybe Rogers rehabs himself and becomes productive. But in order to get excited about this season, I'm really trying to be positive. But I was just thinking maybe we could make the trade now and get some juice going because if not, man, we need something positive here. It's been a lot, but I just don't think it's hyper, productive / fun to just pile on all the negative stuff. So my one solution would be maybe now is the perfect time to trade a bunch of young players for a super ace that we've been talking about forever. But I don't know. We're getting late into the training camp. So anyway, I'll be here. I want to do a pod tomorrow, kind of set the stage for the week, get things rolling, and hopefully go out on a winning note today. Really, the only big game is Michigan State, Michigan, as far as a top 25 team. There's a lot of other games going on that have implications for the bubble, and a couple Big Ten to figure out who's going to be the last team. And then, like I said, a lot of the mid-majors are giving out automatic bids. So I'll have a couple bets out here shortly. Have a good day, guys, and yeah, good luck. See ya.